Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to give a quick video on why I believe Brendan had lost to Tony last night in District 23 and why Covey had also lost to Phelan in his district. So, there are two things I want to point out. Probably three, but two things. First and foremost, on this tab right here. If you look at early votes, this is the title of this video, by the way. This is why you vote early and often. You have to remember that in 2020, things have changed. You know, they have changed. 2020, 2022, and definitely 2024, the rules have changed. You cannot vote on the same day. You have to do early voting. You have to tell your friends to do early voting. Do not wait at the last minute because you don't know what's going to happen, and I will show that in the tabs up above. But I just wanted to highlight how close, look how close this was. It's 49-50. Brandon Herrera could have won his district. Dave Covey could have won his district as well. If you don't know where this is, so District 23 is basically almost everything west of San Antonio and east of El Paso. It somewhat covers also the suburbs of San Antonio and El Paso as well. I don't know exactly where the cutoff line is. Like, is it Midland, Odessa? Does it include Midland, Odessa? I gotta see the map itself, but that's Tony Gonzalez's district. Okay. Dade Phelan is in Beaumont, so that's east of Houston. Where am I leading up to this? Well, if we look at yesterday morning's forecast by the Weather Prediction Center, almost all of Texas is basically under a severe thunderstorm watch and a possible flash flooding. The flash flooding is somewhat key, usually in southeast Texas. As you know, like with Hurricane Harvey, for example, I lived through it. I have a video of me going through Harvey. Basically, my neighborhood became Venice, you know. So when people hear the possibility of rains, they won't turn out. Now, as you get further west of southeast Texas and north, especially north, but also west, we're more concerned with tornadoes and hail. For a time, I had lived around Lubbock and Amarillo, and I had dented my car, and, you know, unfortunately, like, you know, it happened, and I hated that it happened, but the point that I wanted to make is there are a lot of people that don't want to dent their car, you know, even if it means voting for their favorite candidate. Because I'm going to show you a archived radar image right now of what it looked like. This is 5 p.m. Now, they usually go by universal coordinated time. So, this is a little weird. You have to kind of like subtract 5 because we're thinking of Central Time. 6 in the case of Mountain Time, so like the El Paso suburbs, because you have to remember they run on Mountain Time. So you have to like subtract 5 or 6 from that. And then, of course, you have to like convert it to, you know, the time that we're used to, because they run on military time or 24-hour time. So this is 5. Now, if you go all the way back to 3, So I'm going to show 3, and you can see how these storms are forming. Now, I'm pretty sure, like, you know, the district doesn't include Amarillo and Lubbock, so we can ignore them. This blue dot right here, I believe that's... Well, actually, this may be San Angelo. I'm trying to remember what this blue dot represents. That's Midland, Odessa. This is San Antonio, so everything west of San Antonio, a little south as well, around the Big Bend, all the way to El Paso, that is District 23. So you can see how 400 votes can affect this. I'll even go as far as probably, like, say 1 o'clock, when these storms were just starting to form. 1 o'clock is important because sometimes that's when people just go out for lunch and say, like, you know, there's even a storm around like 1 o'clock, so 12 o'clock. It was pretty cloudy too on that day. You know, it was cloudy over Texas. And of course, there's going to be news reports. Now, that I think that may have been like a sort of bug in the system, but this is real. I know this is real because I'm in the Houston area and it was raining a lot. You know, not as bad as it was on our little derecho of all things. You know, it's like we had this like line of storms ranging from all the way in Austin to like as far as like New Orleans. That met the definition of a derecho. I think it was even longer than Austin. It was like more west. But I also want you to pay attention to Beaumont. So we're going to 2, so this is 235. See all that rain, and then look as these storms are forming. So we had these line of storms, which by the way, these are going to be severe storms that hold both hail and possible tornadoes. Now usually it's radar indicated, and when you hear that term radar indicated, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a tornado, but you know, the thought is there on people's minds is, you know, a lot of people aren't weather experts, or even like, you know, I guess amateurs or fans like I am sometimes. Like, you know, I follow the weather a lot. This is why Brandon Herrera lost. This is exactly why he lost. And I can keep on going all the way up to, this is 6, all the way up to closing time. So this is going to be closing time, so 7. This cell right here, this mess, can be responsible for something that is basically 400 votes. Now, this is exactly why I tell people to vote early and often, because you don't know what to expect on the day of. This could be November, you know. Both spring and fall are somewhat similar, you know. They can be, especially for Texas. Like, this could be a November radar mosaic, you know. It could have been. You don't know what to expect. So, vote early and often. As the title suggests, do not vote on November, whatever day it falls on. Vote in October. If you must vote in November, vote November 1st. If it doesn't fall on a Sunday, I don't know if it does, or it's like, I have to check myself, but if it falls on a weekday, take it, you know. Don't wait for the last minute. This is what happens when you wait for the last minute. Anyways, I wanted to just mention that. Again, I will show the early votes and why I believe they made a difference. Now, these are the unofficial results, but, it's pretty much set in stone. I do want to stress, though, that, congratulations to both Covey and Herrera. They actually, went ahead and showed these two, essentially clowns, that you can come close to being voted out. Remember, Gonzalez spent so much money smearing, Herrera a lot. The common figure cited, the common figure cited is going to be 10-1. He's, Gonzalez outspent Brandon Herrera 10-1. I can only imagine what happened with Dave Phelan and David Covey, but Covey had the Trump endorsement. There's also one other thing I want to touch up on too. This is probably that third thing. So I know there may have been some bad feelings about Brandon Herrera not getting the Trump endorsement, but you have to also remember this is an open primary, so it's basically open to Democrats as well. Trump derangement syndrome is 100% real. It is 100% legit. I personally know people that otherwise, they could be my best friend, but for some reason, something, whether it's constant media consumption or just something in their childhood or, whatever, they hate Trump, with a passion. I don't know what it is. I really do not know. And then you'll have people on here, you'll have a bunch of clowns coming on here saying that, oh, you love Trump, you're negative, pee-pee poop. It's like, no. I'm not in love with the guy, I just do not like the fact that this country is headed in the wrong direction, I'm not factuated with one individual, I could really care less about any individual whatsoever. I just do not like the direction this country is headed. It is not the country I grew up in. It feels completely different. The saddest part of it is we kind of asked for this. We truly did, This is how we're asking for it. We're demonizing early voting when the rules have completely changed. We're crying about it, whining about it. It's really, do you want some cheese with that wine? Even Trump said this himself. Do you want to lose? Maybe you want to lose. If so, demonize early voting. Go ahead. That's fine. If you want to lose, that's completely 100% fine. But another thing is you get what you voted for, so, and a non-vote is a vote. But I just wanted to stress that out. So main takeaway is vote early and often. I cannot stress that enough. Stop whining about it. It's not gonna help. The rules have changed since 2020. You just have to accept that the rules have changed. And that's all I've got. I just wanted to leave people with this stark reminder. Oh, and about the TDS thing, yeah, that's another thing too. So people were kind of like, they didn't like it that Trump and there's some rumors going about that, like maybe, he said some things about Barron. Honestly, I don't even Trump cares. Like, I personally do not care for whatever person said anything on a particular day, even if it was captured on the internet. You'd have to be really spiteful. You'd have to be such a small person to hate someone saying something, you know, 10 years ago. I think all these people that I have mentioned, are way above that. It's only the people that you'll see out in, like, the streets who basically do not have a job. They're going to be the ones that get hung up on the little things. Don't be like them, you know? There's a reason why we parade them on the streets. Just don't be, you know? Anyways, I just wanted to leave it at that, you know?